And we are live. Oh, are you ready? Are you ready to know everything about tax sales, how to get properties, pennies on the dollar, ask questions? Yes, you can do that at any time. You have a chat box either beside or below the video. Please ask your questions. We will answer. If we don't do it through this session, we will do right at the end. We will answer any questions that you have, okay? Because I know a lot of people have misconceptions about tax sales. I heard myself when I started for my best friend. She went, no, that's a scam. That doesn't work. So you may have those ideas. So we are going to narrow that down. It is my favorite kind of investment. Not that I invest in a lot of things, but I have diversified a little bit and I like it. And the reason I like the most is because, first of all, the risk is small. Now, my daughter and I, we are different generations, right? For me, it is important to run calculated risks. So I don't have to start from zero if I lose something or if I miss something. And the tax sale is perfect for that because if you do the work right, it's very safe. I love that. But before I start talking about that, let me introduce myself because, maybe you never heard of me before. I am Shahar. I have been doing this for about 10 years with my daughter that is right here, Nash.
Hello.
Yes. And it is interesting because really 10 years ago, we had a small business, a small consulting business, and it was fun. We were living the American dream in the sense that we were able to build something and go day to day. But the fact was that it was very stressful. At the end of the month, we were always struggling to pay bills. So I was looking for something better. The second thing is that I never had any education about money or investment. You can notice an accent. I came from Brazil 22 years ago with my daughter, 2 bags and a teddy bear. But I never learned how to make money work for me. It was really not even the concept I had. I always thought that I was supposed to work hard for so many years and maybe I would be able to retire at some point, right? So it was frustrating seeing that the future didn't look so good at all, right? So Nashlah got a phone call from a friend, remember?
Yes.
From Paola?
Oh, yes. Yes, I got this phone call and she's like, Nashlah, I just found out the thing that's going to change our lives.
Yes.
But don't tell anyone. Don't tell your mom. Don't tell anyone. Let's first see if this is true.
Yes. And then she was taking, I believe, online. She read a book and she was taking a course. So she sent it over and Nashlah started looking. And then what happened?
Well, then it was so exciting. I was like, man, there's no way I can't share this with Shahar. Like, I have to. And so I shared it with her.
And I thought at the beginning, I said, I don't know about that. I don't know. But I went online and started researching, and it sounded really good. So I went to talk to my best friend because she was American, so she lived here all her life. And she, from the get-go, no, this is a scam. This doesn't work. Nothing pays more than 10% a month. That doesn't exist. And she had a story about a friend that did something that didn't go well. But I kept saying, but how can that be, Marie, if that comes from the county? You go to the county for the auction. So I don't get it, how it can be a scam if it comes from the government, right? So we waited a few months and we found out that Wyoming was going to have an auction on tax lien auction. And I'll explain in a second the difference between the two. And off we went, right? We drove from Utah to Wyoming and we participated in our very first auction. And it was amazing.
Yes.
We were the only women in the room.
Yes.
At that point, right?
It was a little intimidating.
Very intimidating.
People, they came with their little binders and their little folders, and they looked like they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, and by that time we had read books and taken courses with different people, and I started asking, where did you learn this? And I didn't learn. I saw this in the bar and I came. And I would ask another one, and they would show me the paper, the properties that they had, the liens and the deeds that they had. And I was so impressed. And we managed to bid. Let me tell you, and this is for the girls, right? If you are a woman, today is different than 10 years ago, but still you don't have a lot of women bidding. You may have a lot of wives accompanying the husband, not a lot of women. You have a lot more than before, but not a lot. It is very difficult for you to raise the paddle, right?
Yes.
But somehow we managed in that day, and we got 3 liens.
Because really quickly, because things move fast.
Yeah.
Right? Like, first of all, it's kind of new. It's like at that point it was new. We didn't really know. And then people they start talking fast. They start blah, 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 and
Yeah.
literally doing the bidding, and then people are just like raising their little paddles. And so things go by so quickly
Yeah.
that you can easily just paralyze.
Yeah, I've seen big men paralyzed in the middle
So
of the
we
of
made
auction.
we made a thing, like a
Yes.
little pact, that no matter the auction that we go to, even if it looks like it's going to be impossible for us to win the property that we want to bid on, that we at least bid on it, at least in the
least
beginning.
once, yeah, to train that, right? Because again, it's a group of people, and sometimes they get very competitive, right? So you have to know how to navigate that. Well, we came with those 3 liens. We waited quite a time for that. But one of the liens was redeemed really fast, and I got the check. And I went to my friend, it is real, it is real, because now I had confirmation. Okay, wow, that was a long story. But tell me in the comments, right? Are you ready to learn more? Because if you ever felt this financial stress that we tend to have, I want to know, are you ready to know more? Because like I said, we are going to explain now which one it is, the tax liens and the tax deeds, and we are going to show you properties live, things like that. So I want to know, if you want to follow, if you want to know more. Now, let's start then with what is this? Here in America, you pay property taxes, right? Of the assets that you own. Can be a house, can be a lot of land and things like that. Well, it's normal that 1 in every 20 people, one of them will be late with their property tax, and they will stop paying. Of course, when we are in moments of crisis, that ratio increases, right? Well, depending on the state that you are, the state, and I think now we will need to draw, the state can be a tax lien state or a tax deed state, right? Usually one or the other. If it's a tax lien and the person doesn't pay during a period of time, each state is different. For example, Utah, where I lived for 20 years, it is 5 years. Others, Wyoming, I believe, is 3 years for the liens. So each state will put their own rules, right? And it varies a lot state from state. So what is the difference then? In a tax lien state, what you are doing is buying the debt of that person from the county. So let's suppose that Mary had to pay $100 a year for her property, but she didn't pay. And she didn't pay, and the state went to put a lien on her property, right? So we put something that if she sold or something, she would have to pay that lien back. But the state needs the money. The county specifically needs the money, right? Because that's how you build schools, you put the pavement on the roads, you pay for the firefighters. So you need the cash, you need the cash flow. So the county will sell that debt in an annual auction, or it can even be monthly, to whoever wants to buy that. And it will say, this example of Wyoming, you pay the debt. So let's say in this case with Maria was $300. Then those $300, I will pay you 11% on the property. I thought you were going to do this.
Oh, I can do that.
Okay, so tax lien.
So, tax lien.
And you will see this in a second.
Tax lien and
Tax, while she fixed the camera, tax deed. Okay, so the tax lien, the person will buy the debt. And you want her letter showing up.
All right, tax lien. You buy the debt.
So for example, let's say the person owed $300, right?
300.
In Wyoming, they would give, once the person pays, they will send you a check with those $300 plus 11% on interest because you gave the money, plus 3% as penalty fees. Okay? I'll say it again because I know it can get confusing. The person had a debt of $300.
11%.
The county put the lien on the property. The county will sell that $300 debt to you. When the person pays, they will pay what you paid at the auction. It might be 300, it might be 500, depends on how it goes on the auction. So they will pay what you paid at the auction plus 11% plus 3% penalty fee. Again, this will vary depending on the state. Now you're probably asking, yeah, but what if Maria never pays that debt? Will I lose all the money that I put? No. In that case, you will keep the property. Look how beautiful this is. I either make 18% on the money that I loan to the county, or I will get the property, and then I can do with the property whatever I want. That alone is beautiful. Again, they vary, and they may change during a period of time as if the county decides.
Now, Shahar, really quickly, one thing that I love, and we're going to, of course, later we can go in depth in this, but with the tax lien, so you mentioned interest and you mentioned penalty. Now, the really cool thing is, no matter what, if there's a penalty fee, you will make this guaranteed 3%
Yes.
over the money you invested.
Yeah.
And no matter what, but then there's also the interest on top of that.
Yes.
Per annum.
And of course, it depends on the county. This may change or not. In Wyoming, is 11%. Okay.
Yes.
So that's basically the tax lien.
Yes.
Now, remember I said, if she doesn't pay, you will get the property. And that is why we have the tax lien course and the tax lien method.
Tax deed.
Yeah, whatever method that we have that I forgot.
Tax deed and tax liens.
No, that's not what I'm saying. The mine method. We have that method because you have to do the due diligence before bidding. Because what if you buy a property like a house that is so bad in shape that there's nothing you can do about it? You don't want that. There are some situations that you don't want. So you need to do your due diligence before going to an auction. You just don't go there and, okay, I'll just bid. Now, that happened to me too. One of my first tax deed auctions was in Provo, Utah. Yes. And we did the research. We did everything that was right. So you get there, and again, we were not the only women, but there were two more in 50 or 60 people.
Of other people.
And there were people bidding, and there was some kind of bidding war because they were also selling mines. It's another interesting story because you can buy a mine. I have a friend that bought one in one auction that we went. But they were bidding and bidding, and there was no way we could get the properties that we had chosen. They went for more money than we had because we used to go with very little money to an auction. Well, then we learned that they had about 20 minutes to pay, and all the properties that were not paid would come back and they would redo the auction with those properties. We waited and said, maybe the property we want.
Yes, maybe someone who wanted one of our properties forgets to pay, or they.
Yeah. So, that started, and but they show on the projector the kind of property, and I had to bid in something, and I did the mistake of bidding on a property that I didn't do the research before.
We had no idea. And basically, all the properties that we wanted had been taken, and then there were these select few that were left. And so, but we wanted to win something at that auction. And so we just randomly said, okay, we're going to bid for this one property. And we won the property.
Okay.
For a whopping...
It was
$50
$50 or something. And then we went to look at the property. So here's the property. My very first one on a tax deed sale. And I'll tell you why it's bad.
It's hard to see.
It's hard to see. Maybe, okay.
Hang on. Yeah, hold on.
Look at this. So if I had done my research before, I would never bid on this property, because you see that is very narrow at the beginning at the street, which is an issue, because in every place you have the size that it has to have on the street. And if it's too small, you cannot build. It was long, it was over half an acre, and then in narrow, and it passed through 2 properties. Now, we had that, right? So we approached the person that owned, because he was in the middle of somebody's property. And we sent him a letter saying, do you want to buy? Because it would make sense, right? And nothing happened. But I stayed with that, I think, for about a year or two, because the property tax a year in that property was just $10. So it was no big deal. Well, one day, we're in the car leaving for a trip, we get a phone call from a lawyer. And the lawyer, it was the lawyer of this owner here, they were trying to refinance the property, so get another mortgage. And they couldn't, because they didn't have that sliver of land right in the middle of their
Because
property.
essentially, yes, exactly. They owned both sides. We were right through the middle. They wanted to refinance, and they couldn't if they didn't have it. So they're like, hey, can you sell this? How? And they basically, do you remember?
They gave me, it was about $3,000.
$3,000
for a property that I paid 50.
50?
And I thought I was never going to sell it.
Yes, we thought it was just like, uh-oh, we bought something bad. But in the end, if you do the percentage of return on investment, it's crazy.
Huge. Just to show you that you make mistakes if you don't do the due diligence. In this case, the end result was good, but maybe, I would still have that and nothing would have happened. That is an example, because I think it's important for you to understand that not everything is flowers, right? That you don't have to do anything and you're going to become a millionaire tomorrow. That's not what happens. There is work involved, and you have to be calm when you are in this type of environment. That day, I wasn't, and I committed a mistake, right? So that's very important. Now let's go to the tax deed state.
All right, Shahar,
Okay.
tell me about tax deeds.
So on the tax deed, the county will wait for a period of time. I'll give you the example of Utah. They wait for 5 years. The person needs not to pay the property for 5 years. Okay? If they don't pay during that time until the day of the event, or the day of the auction, which in Utah usually happens in May, they lose the property. The state seizes the property. This is very important, because I get a lot of comments on the video saying, oh, you're taking the property from somebody. No, I'm not. The state took the property, and it is theirs to do whatever they want, including using for themselves, which in some cases happen. So here I go to the auction, and if I bid and win a property, I will have the property to do whatever I want with that. So from that day on, here there is no redeemable or anything. So it's mine, okay? Well, you're probably going to say, but if they didn't pay for 5 years, it's probably something that is not worth anything, right?
No, not necessarily, Shahar. Sometimes things happen. Sometimes people die, for example, and don't have any heirs.
Many times the heirs don't worry about that.
Sometimes the heirs themselves don't really want to tackle it or do anything with it, or they're far away in a different state, or they don't care. Sometimes, there are reasons and reasons.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's bad.
You get very good things. It's a percentage, right? So you can get, like 6 months ago, we sold a lot we bought in Nephi, Utah, and I think we paid I had an investor with that one. We paid about $50,000, and we sold for $120,000, right? And we sold, I think, in 5 or 6 months, because it was a higher price in a city that is not very big. So you find good stuff all the time, small stuff, big stuff. Now, which one should you go to?
Yeah, which
right?
one? Tax liens, you buy the debt, and you make interest and money on that debt.
Yeah.
Tax deeds, you end up with the property. Which one?
Which one?
Which one?
Type there, what do you think?
And by the way, you asked earlier, Emmy said, I am ready to learn. Awesome, Emmy.
Awesome, Emmy. Well, the thing is, we tend to think, and that's a beginner's wrong mindset, that I have to do whatever my state tells me. Okay? And that is the very big mistake you will make. And that's a big mistake. Made that myself. I like the fact that we've been doing this for a while and we didn't start big, because we also made the mistakes that we see everybody that we mentor do. The thing is, I thought at the beginning, it has to be near me. That was one mistake.
Yes.
Because I can't see, I can go there. What if I have to mow the grass? What am I going to do?
Yes.
That kept me from investing well for 2 years or more. Because Utah is a very hot market state, because we have a lot of people from California coming. And it was very expensive for us to buy there.
Yes.
And unnecessary.
Okay, another thing that I feel like we wasted so much time, and in a way I'm a little regretful of it, is that as we were looking for properties, we kept thinking from the mindset of, would I live here? Is this something that I would have? Is this something that I would own? Would I live on this street? Would I live in this house? Would I want to have this piece of land next to this other thing that I don't like?
It doesn't matter.
And we wasted about 2 years just with that mindset, because there were so many properties and opportunities that we let go because we were stuck thinking that we would be the buyers.
And over the years, we found many people with the same mindset, thinking, I'm going to buy my dream house. No, you're not. Probably you're not. The chances that you are very small. But you buy enough properties that you can either monetize or sell, right? That will bring you the money to buy your dream house. So the sooner you shift this mindset, the better it's going to be for you. And no, it doesn't have to be in your state. Today, for example, I am in Texas right now. Here, I don't own any properties, but I own in Utah, in Virginia, in Oklahoma, Michigan, Mississippi, Arkansas. I have never been to Mississippi. I already sold 7 or 8 properties there. I still have properties there. Never been there, right? There is a way of doing this without having to worry about this thing. Second thing, so tax lien versus tax deed. Let's show them. Another thing that you have to think, should I do this one or should I do that one? So we told you what tax liens are and what tax deeds are. Here you have to think 2 things: your personality, how much risk you want to have, and how much money you have. This is one that you need.
So we're talking, you happen to put these in the middle because you have to think. You have to discern your personality.
Because some people just don't want to take any risks.
Risk.
And money that you have.
And money.
Right.
Those are questions you need to ask
yourself first.
Basically from the get-go.
From the get-go. Why? First of all, with tax liens, it's an investment that you're buying the debt, like we said. 85 to 90% of people will pay back what they owe. Okay? So it's very safe. You put the money and you will get the check at some point, right? Only 15 to 20% of the time you will keep the property. So you can build your portfolio with several houses and things like that over the years.
Okay.
But the very first thing you're doing here is getting just the interest and the penalty from that investment.
Hold up, Shahar. You mentioned something interesting. You mentioned...
Did I?
Yes.
Oh.
You mentioned keeping the property, even though we're talking about tax liens, where we've been talking about it being just interest.
Yes.
This is cool because, check it out. Here's what Shahar just said. I love repeating what she says. Here's what she just said. With the tax liens, you're buying the debt, and you're going to get percentage over the money that you invested, that you used to buy that debt, to loan the debt, basically, right, to the owner of the house. But if they don't pay up, if they don't actually pay the county what you paid them, you get their property.
So you can build a portfolio of properties with liens as well, but it will take longer, right? And you're going to have your money tied. For example, in Wyoming, it's if the person doesn't pay or pays later, it's 3 years that your money is going to be there, right? You're compounding the interest, but it's 3 years. So you have to think, can I, this amount of money, is that okay to leave there for a year, for 2 years, or for however long? That's why you need to think about the amount of money you have. But wait, because there is more. On the tax deeds, you get the property. So you will have to think, what are you going to do with that property? And some people like to hold, and that's totally fine. But you can sell. That's one exit strategy that you have. You just sell that property and make the profit. And when you see the real-time examples, you're going to say there's a lot of profit to be given here. And that's why some people think it's a scam, because when I say I can buy a lot of land for $1,000 and sell for 20, they say it's not possible.
Malarkey.
Yeah, we hear that sometimes. But it is possible. But you will have to do the work either to sell the property or to monetize the property. Now, if we are not going to talk about that right now, but I love that because there's so many ways for you to monetize a property. For example, I tell all the time, you buy a lot, even a small lot, because it doesn't matter, and you paint some tires, and you create a training facility for dogs for agility, and you charge them to go there train. Every city needs several of these, and they don't have. Easy money, and you spent what? A bunch of used tires or maybe some wood. That's about it, right? So there are many ways to monetize a property, but you will have to do the work into that. So that's one thing that you need to think. Now, what's the ideal thing to do? Is to do both.
Oh.
So, for example, I go buy a property, and let's say I sell the easy, fastest way. I sell the property. I made a good profit here, right? I will get a third of the profit that I made here, and I will invest in tax liens, right?
Interesting.
1/3 goes here. This is your safety future net.
1/3.
1/3 of
Goes
what
right
you
into
made,
there
you go
from
into
what
that.
you
If
made.
you have extra that you don't need to touch, you put more and you do that faster. But if you do this, you will not only have major profits here, you are going to have a safety net here that is very good. As long as there is a flow, and that's another reason you're not going to be investing only in your state, because in many states it's just once a year that I have the auction. So you're going to be buying, right? And that keeps rolling. So the whole time you have the money compounding, giving you interest, receiving the checks that you can, again, invest a part of it there. So tax liens, tax deeds, there's another type of state.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Redeemable deeds estates. What is that? Right here, redeemable deeds. They are, so for example, Texas, Georgia, and there is another one that I forgot now. They are redeemable states, meaning that the person that owns the property has time to redeem again. So for example, here in Texas, they didn't pay the property went for auction. So redeemable. The property went for auction. Joe gets that property at the tax auction. The person that owns the property has 120 days to redeem that property. If it's a homestead, so their primary living space, or it is a farm agriculture, then they have 2 years to redeem that. Now you say, oh, I'm never going to Texas. I don't like Texas anyway. But look at this. If they redeem, they will have to pay a penalty fee here of 25%. So let's say you spent $1,000 on a property here in Texas today. And 3 days from now, they redeem the property. You just made 25% on that $1,000. Is this good or is this good?
Oh, man.
Right?
It's incredible.
Now,
I
here's
love it.
what happened. You want to explain?
Can I just say why I love it so much?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. You're going to put the property went to the auction. They lost it. You didn't take it as the investor. The county did, right?
Yeah.
So they lost the property because they didn't pay their property taxes. Well, you go there and you bid on that. Someone else bids on that. The price goes up a little bit. Then you finally, boom, you win it. So you're winning it for a higher amount than it first started from what they lost the property. they still can redeem that property. So if it's land like Shahar said, or if it's not a homestead, 6 months, they have up to 6 months to redeem that property. And then, but they have to not only pay what you paid plus 25% on top of that. So a lot of times they don't redeem
A lot of times now it's over 90% of the time.
because they didn't have the first one to begin with. Do you see? So this is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. There's a sign
Beautiful.
over there.
Yes.
So think about this. If they redeem, which almost it happens, but almost doesn't happen, you make whatever you pay at the auction plus 25%. I can live all my life that. And even better here in Texas, it's every single month there are auctions in every single county. So that's beautiful too. Or you keep the property. So again, this is very important for you to do your due diligence when you're going to an auction here, because chances are you are going to get the property and you need to do the work before. I'm not saying that you can just go there and bid, because there's not like that. And there's one more thing. They thought, oh, I have to choose between deeds and liens. Oh, now I have redeemable deeds. You also have OTCs.
Ooh, tell me about OTCs.
So during COVID, that happened a lot, by the way. So the properties, they go to auction. Let's say that day, like here in Houston, is easy to happen. That day there's a huge storm and there is a flood and not a lot of people get to the auction.
It happens.
It happens. So a lot of properties will not be sold, right?
So
what happens then?
Well, going once, going twice.
Nobody bid.
Nobody's there. Well, it gets struck off back to the county.
And the county will keep that in a list that is called over the counter. Some states have other names, but basically is you go there and they say, oh, this person owns $1,000.
Oh, interesting.
I offer you $1,000. Give me the property.
Now,
and they do.
The really neat thing about this is that now this property, once it gets struck off to the county, it's their property. It's the county's property. So you're dealing with them directly. And
no
a lot of
competition?
times, no competition, because it doesn't have to be a list from last month's auction. It can be, sometimes there are properties that have been sitting there for years, and not because they're necessarily bad. Yes, there's a lot of bad stuff, but not because they're necessarily bad. It could just be that people didn't go after it.
Yeah, many times it happens. So with this one, you're thinking, I'm going to go get the list and get all the properties in the list. No, you have to do the due diligence because you might have issues with those properties. The red flag here is 75% of these properties are not good, period. They might be a parking lot in a building. They can be a flower bed, right? They can be a wall. I bought a wall once, by the way. Bought a wall too. I made my mistakes. But you see, so here you have that amazing opportunity where you don't have the competition and you are going to pay what the debt is in most states. For example, in Mississippi, I just got an offer letter yesterday. You know how much they owe. You make a proposal to the county, and the county will counter offer that. And then you have 30 days, only you, to decide if you want that property or not. So yesterday I got one, and it's interesting because there is a house there. We are going to, in this case, we are going to drive. But there are many other ways where we don't need to go there and also be sure the thing is good. What else could go wrong? Let's talk about that because I know those are the questions that people have all the time. If you buy a house, and then we answer, do we like houses? Do we like land, right? Will I find something bad about the house? And you can, because the one thing that this type of auctions don't offer you is the chance to go inside the house. There are exceptions, like in Pennsylvania, but you usually cannot get inside the house. So you might have an issue of foundation, or maybe the roof broke and everything is wet inside. So that's the downside, that you need to know to do the research. That's why we have the MIND method to teach you how to do that. So you are almost sure everything is going to be fine. Sometimes you find surprises inside the house. And then comes to what do you buy, houses or land? Well, a mix is always good. I love land. I bought houses and I buy a lot of land. I like land because almost anything goes wrong with land.
Well, almost nothing goes wrong with
Yeah,
land because I mean,
if it floods the next day,
it's
you have
dry.
grass, right?
If it burns,
You have a nice soil to build to plant tomatoes. Not many things can happen that can go wrong with land. And it's easy. You don't have to flip. You don't have to have, because I have to tell you, and then I tell you as a woman, sometimes, especially if it's not close to me, it's in another state, having people to flip the house, trust them, get the things done with a time frame can be a total nightmare. So it's a choice. I know a lot of women that do that and they love it. I don't. Even though a few months ago I did the same in Brazil. Never saw the place, bought in the auction, somebody flipped it for me, another woman, and we sold in less than, I didn't have the deed yet, because I had everything signed, but in 90 days everything was done and I doubled my investment. But usually I don't do that. It's because I had boots on the ground, so a person that I could trust. But when it comes to have people, cutting wood and put it, for me, so your choice. Again, it needs to fit your personality. Let's show an example of a tax lien auction.
Ooh, yes. Tax lien auction, you said you wanted to see?
I have the real
All right,
thing
so I'm going to
open.
pull up the computer for you. Is this the one, Shahar?
Let's see, preview. Yeah, see, there
All right.
it is.
So
we are in Columbia County.
Actually, let's see.
Or not.
There we go.
All right.
We are in Columbia County right here. And this is a list. So the really neat thing, if this hasn't been clear to you yet, is that these are government auctions, right? Government auctions. There are 3,144 counties in the United States, within our 50 states. And you can find them. And so this is one of them, Columbia County. And look at this. Here's a list just of tax liens. And you can buy, for example, the face amount here, $54. $122, 55.
So here you're buying the debt, remember, right? And I don't know how much this county pay, but do you know Florida, how much it pays? So it pays an interest fee for you. Florida also has a lot of auctions, right? So you can go to all these sites, it's public information. So nobody's going to hide anything from you, but you can come here, click and see the property. So when it's liens, you want first, of course, to see how much they owe, and then check, of course, the information. There is a process. That's why we have the mine method. And I will explain the mine method later.
Just to give you an example, I clicked on this one. It was $50. They didn't pay the property taxes here. But see, this is just a little sliver in front of their house.
Would you buy that?
No, I wouldn't. I would not buy this. But just to give you an example. But like if we go to maybe this one that they owe $1,500.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I think that has been redeemed because I can't click on it. Let's look for something a little more. See, the ones we can't click on, I believe they've been paid.
I don't know if this one is
a good example.
Is a good example.
But anyways, that gives you an idea. So here, this is
a lot.
It's a lot, a small lot.
Does it say the size?
It is. I don't
see that.
I don't see
but
it here.
It is in some place, or if not, you have tools to check. We always need to check the size, because again, you need to know if it's a lot that you can build on. I love when, like this one, is on a street and there are neighbors. Because if you think, does it have a house on the side? I can't see. I'm not wearing the right glasses today. But you want to, ideally, if you're buying to sell, if you buy a lot that is between houses, it's a lot easier to sell. You send a letter to the neighbor and you tell them why they should buy. I did this so many times. And, many times they will say yes. So you need to know all about that lot and see if there are neighbors in between, because then again, you can sell that very easily. If you buy the lot in a place with nothing, well, it can be good too, but it may take more effort for you to sell. So all these things, we need to talk about, because you want to make sure you are buying the right type of lot. But in this case, it's a lien, so you're just buying the debt. But you also need to think, okay, if I keep this, will I have a way to sell? So you look
You
around.
always have to
Yeah,
think.
and you know, they show you the maps and everything. So when you're looking, you look, are there McDonald's nearby? Do I have a library? Are there schools? That will give you a nice impression of the life in that town, because sometimes properties might be in a town that is becoming a ghost town. Not that is a bad thing. I just bought 15 lots in one ghost town, and we closed one this week,
Yep.
right? And we made a lot of money out of that, because if there are people there leaving, you know, you might have a good opportunity. What about showing them now the tax deeds? That's a fun
All right. So tax deeds are they're my favorite, but like Shahar said, we don't pick favorites. We do both. We just do it at a different rate. But just to show you really quickly, we decided to look at Michigan in this
Michigan,
case.
because the auctions happen this month and the next month. So they're all live right now and happening. Today there was one. And we are going to Saginaw County, correct?
Yeah. So remember, this is public information. You can just go online. It's happening right now. I clicked for Saginaw County. So I clicked on View Available Property, Searchable Map. Here's a map. Put Saginaw. It's one of the counties we've purchased there before. But look at this map.
How many?
All of these are properties.
This is where the University of Michigan is. Very nice, middle-class town. The yellow houses are residential houses.
Yep.
The red dots are lots. And if you see any green ones, they're commercial properties. That's commercial lots and properties is not for the beginner. There is more risk there. So
It's
I wouldn't worry too
incredible.
much about that. But let's see.
Also, like, and if you can, this is just another way to view it. And look, you can see here right off the bat some of the properties. It tells you. So anyways, Shahar, you want to look at one, right?
Yeah.
Let's look at, let's just randomly pick. Let's look at a house. What do you say?
Yeah, let's look at a house.
So like, because this website here, they do a phenomenal way of actually explaining what's going to the property, to the auction. So this right here, Shahar, would you buy a house for $3,700?
3,700?
Yeah.
Yeah, any day.
Yeah. So this is what it starts at, right? They're saying the SEV, this right here is half, this amount is essentially half of what the assessed value is.
So the county will assess the property and put an amount on that. They all do that, right? And that's the lowest number you would get for that house. Here they show half of that. So I know
it's really neat because it's not market value. It's less than that, right?
Mhm.
So they're telling me it's $8,800. So it's about $16,000, $17,000.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a small house.
Yeah. Well, if you scroll down, it's going to tell you what the assessor thought about it, right? The person that went to visit the house.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
So look
it's
at
a very
this.
good place, Michigan, to buy.
All right, so this is interesting. It's a 2-story house. They're saying it's currently occupied. So they only took pictures of the street view. Blah, blah, blah. Please respect their privacy. Always respect the privacy. Never go into the property. But anyways, look, it'll tell you the roof here is in really bad shape, but nothing collapsing or sagging. So this is really cool because right here, they're actually telling you, okay, what are some of the expenses that you might have if you decide that this is a good property?
And when you say the occupy, well, that happens too. So you will need to know in that state, what is the eviction process? In many states, it's the sheriff that will do the eviction, but there are some where you have to do it.
How about we'll look at another property?
Well, I would live there.
It's a big house, huh?
It's a big house.
Look at this. So this one, Shahar, would you pay $17,000 for this big house?
Tell me what's the half of the assessed value.
Well, half the assessed value is $32,000.
So at least $60,000.
So it's worth at least $64K.
So when we are doing a flipping, we are thinking about 30% that we are going to spend for the flipping itself. So Then you do the math. We are not good at math. And what
So
does it say there?
now it's telling me, these are the comments from the county. The property is a large East Lake style brick home. At first glance, the home looks rough, but upon further inspection, it's not in that bad of a shape. The brickwork is relatively good with some minor cracking and loose bricks. So you get the idea, right? It's already telling you what you expenses that you should account for. So Shahar, when you were like, well, I've never even been to Mississippi. Like in this case, I know it is Michigan,
Okay.
but in this case, you could even bid in Michigan, being in Texas.
Oh, yeah, because everything is online there.
Because a lot of this information is online. Of course, you have to follow the proper method. We have our mind method that we would show you through each step, what to look for and what to do. But this right here is
Michigan
amazing.
in itself is also, the auctions are online, so you also don't have to go. But let's look at a land. I like land, Nashlah. I told you, I like land.
Yes. Okay,
Love
so
land.
let me move on from here. Let me close this. Oh, we have a question. Oh, hang on. Let's move on. I'll address that in a second.
And let me know, okay? If you're interested, we keep going, okay? But there's a lot of information here.
So Shahar, we said, look at this. We have here.
Okay.
This one is a lot. It is about 1 acre, 1.2 acres. It is $1,500 at the auction. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that does it say the value there? I love to see the value because I need to see.
Value.
If I decide to.
It's giving me 9,500. So
okay,
19,000 bucks.
Pretty good.
But now look at this map right here. It's a triangle type. It's 1 acre, but it's like a triangle.
Okay.
So that's something to consider there. But look, it has neighbors.
It has neighbors.
Why?
I could sell to the
Why
neighbor.
does that matter?
Because it's the easiest buyer would be the neighbor. It doesn't mean they are always going to buy. But I have to see if it's an area, for example, that it floods all the time, could be an issue, and the neighbor would not buy. So again, you have to go through the mind method to know you're buying something really good. But how exciting is that, really? Now, before I explain to you the mind method, let's think other ways of monetizing that. So with the liens, you know that basically you are investing and waiting for the money to come back. With the deeds, you're going to either sell the property or monetize the property. Of course, with a house, the first thing that comes into mind is you can do an Airbnb. That can be. But with land, for example, with properties and land, there are many ways for you to monetize. I'll show you an example that we did. So we had a lot, and the lot had a house from the 1950s, and we flipped the house, and that became an Airbnb. It was about 4 hours from us normally. So we had the Airbnb there, but it was a 0.24 acre lot, which is quite a big one. People tend to think that they need to have an acre or more. They don't really. Sometimes you have, depending on the county, 0.18, the person can build a house there. Depends on the county. So we had land that we were not using. We decided, okay, let's get a shed and make another Airbnb on the same lot. It could be only the shed, right? In my case, we had the house. Can we show some pictures for them? So you will see the shed that we bought when it was totally raw. We went to the city asking for the permit because we like to do everything right. And they told us we were the first one that had asked for the permit. And I asked the lady, hey, but you have a ton of Airbnbs in the city. And she said, yeah, they come and they never come back. But we did everything right. So we had to ask the shed to be built with 6x6 instead of 3x4 because it was for humans. It was tiny. It was 10 by 12, if I'm not wrong. And you are going to see now the shed. It was very cute. Look at this. This is the shed. And inside the raw part, before we did anything, that's how it was when we bought it. I don't remember how much we paid, but it was not a lot. Now, after we did it, this is the bathroom.
And remember, you're looking at this right here, right?
You know when you go to the crafts fair, those tents are 10 by 10. The shed was 10 by 12.
10 by 12. So we've got a bathroom. Look at this. This is a shower right here. Yeah. Little toilet, little
Beautiful.
sink.
Yeah. Look,
Ooh.
kitchen.
Kitchen, counter,
Something-
everything.
Yeah,
Little
nice.
window.
Then the entrance.
Ooh, spacious.
The couch is the bed, so it's a
It's a
couch
sofa bed kind of thing.
Sofa bed, yeah.
You've got the little splitter here for the
Nice.
air conditioner and the heater.
Look at.
Oh,
from
there's a thing at the
storage
top.
space.
Storage
Could
space.
even have a child's mattress there or something.
Yep.
That's it.
Little
and
desk.
we had another way to monetize that lot. Now, this is one thing you can do. Today, you can buy hexagons. You can buy all kinds of properties,
You can get
even
creative
from
for
China,
sure.
for $3,000, $4,000, $30,000, and put in a lot and have an Airbnb right away. But like I said, there are many other ways to do it. For example, did I mention before that I bought a wall?
Okay, you can't just say I bought a wall. You gotta tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, it was in the same auction.
Yes.
Yeah, we waited.
It was that Utah auction.
And it was like $50 or so. It was the wall between two houses. So we went there and we looked at the wall, beautiful wall. And we wrote both neighbors, and they didn't want to buy. You know what I could do with that wall?
Tell me.
I could rent to have a billboard there. Now, in the case of the wall, that's true. But in the case of your lot, if you have a lot, for example, on the road, on a way to some place, as long as there's traffic of cars, you can rent that space to a billboard company, and they will pay you monthly. I checked in Mississippi about maybe 8 months ago. There, they would pay $800 a month to have a billboard on my land, and I don't need to do anything. So you have many, many, many options that you can do, okay, with that. Wow. Do we have any questions that we need to go through? I will already show this.
No questions at the moment, Shahar. I'm actually just looking through this auction here because this auction happens September. It's coming up.
It's going to, yeah.
It's coming up.
Michigan is fantastic. You have a bunch of opportunities there. Well, before I tell you about the mind method in itself, because it is important, really the steps that you need to take to start investing, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Tax Sales Rebels community, right? So we've been doing this for 10 years, like I said, and we have mentored a bunch of people in the process. We still mentor them, but we decided that we want to make that more approachable to people. I have a passion of people that want to improve their lives. I really don't like people that don't want to do anything and accept everything as it is, because I do believe that we can do better. And it doesn't matter if you're her age or my age. It's never too late to start. I think we need to do that more to create stability and safety in our life, because the fact is that most people lose their houses because they don't have $300 saved. And that is just sad. So I know I want safety in my life. I want to be able to sleep at night, that, not thinking about how am I going to pay this or that. And the same for her. She wants to have something that will bring her the money that she wants. So we decided to create a community. It's new. There's nobody in my community at the moment.
Well, hey, there's me and there's you.
There's the two of us. But what do we plan with this community? Well, you will have, of course, information. We have the tax lien course already ready and selling. It's going to be yours. We are recording the tax deed one, going in depth, because of course there's only so much we can say in a live like this.
We just gave you an overview.
An overview. So now comes the mind method that you need to learn. We are recording that, and we have an option. We have two options here. Since there is nobody in my community, I think I'm the only person selling a community without people.
No.
It's like the ghost town that I bought all the lots. But because it is empty, we are selling for you the whole year for write that down. Write that down. No, it's small.
Yeah.
So you will get all my books. I have 5 books only on this topic. So one of them is 100 ways to monetize your property. Doesn't matter house or land. I have one only about resort living, because when you start researching, you're going to see some lots in nice areas that you attract a lot of people that are over 50 because they want to live that lifestyle, and that is called resort living. I have a book on that. I have a book, very important one, the mistakes you need to avoid when buying land, which is why, so 5, I don't remember all of them, but they are all relevant to the topic. Then you have the tax lien course, and you will have the tax deed course for only, you write that down,
Okay.
24
24.
for the whole year.
24 bucks a year.
For you, because you took the risk.
This is our launch price.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Very soon, this is going to be a month.
Yes, of
right?
course.
This
it's,
is
it's
launch
really
price.
just now. But you have another option that is more intense if you want to get started and get it going. Because what we are doing with this premium membership is that we are going to get together every week, and we are going to be analyzing properties that are on auctions, talking about mistakes, talking about things we wouldn't do. We are never going to tell you you should buy this or that, but we are going to show you what could be an issue or red flag.
We're going to look at these properties together. We're going to talk about strategy together.
Yes.
We're going to learn together.
And of course, all these recordings of these days will be put in a vault, because that's what you are not going to find anywhere, is analyzing properties, because that's how we learn. We need to know why this one is not a good deal, because you're going to see, oh, it's half an acre. But, you need to understand what are the minimum requirements for you to build on the land. So the fact that you're going to have all that with you at any point in time is huge. And we are going to be showing things that are in the market right now. So nothing from 50 years ago, right now. For that premium membership, that's a monthly one. But you are going to be with us and able to ask questions and, consult a little bit with us. Of course, it's not a mentoring. We also do that. But here today, these are your 2 options. So if you are just interested in the topic, get into help us build a community, and you will get more benefits than anybody else, because we are adding stuff there, and it's going to be fun. And then the VIP membership, you're getting the analysis of properties, because what we have learned mentoring other people is that the fear of the first property is a thing.
It stops people in their tracks.
It stops them like crazy, that you want to shake them and say, go buy the property. So it is important that the person feels safe, because it doesn't matter if it's $100 or $1,000, the property. They don't want to lose money. And of course, I don't either. So they want to be sure they're doing something right. And by themselves is always tricky, because your mind, if you're just, watching videos from everybody and thinking about all the possibilities, that's the exciting part. But if you are thinking about, okay, I have to do this on my own, I don't want to make a mistake. And that fear will stop you like crazy. So you don't want that, okay? And that's why a community is, you have people, you have us. It's not totally empty. You have us, and you can ask questions, and we can help you move ahead. And then when the thing gets bigger and you start thinking, can I have investors? Because you don't want to be working only with your money, right? Not if you want to grow this. So can I have investors? How do I do? Where are the things where I have to be careful? Can I have partners?
All right.
That comes in another moment, but
Shahar,
it starts here.
To recap, okay? So community, we're launching our community. You have the privilege to be one of the first few people here by joining us. For a launch price, we're doing basically a symbolic $24 a year. Launch price, remember. But what do you get? You get our tax lien course, you get our tax deed course, which we are currently recording. So you'll get to learn exactly the method, how to look for these auctions, what to look for, that type of thing. You have access to the community, where you can ask your questions via the community, that type of thing. If there's an upcoming auction or something like that, we'll let you know in the community, and we'll answer questions in there. Now, we have the option of the VIP, which for the VIP, we do the weekly office hours. So basically, we get together in front of the computer with the computer screen live, and we analyze. There's an upcoming auction. Hey, we're going to analyze that upcoming auction, the properties for that auction. We're going to drill down. If you have questions, we're going to do this together. So if you have questions as we're analyzing, ask your questions.
Yeah.
Oh, let's say, but what if there are no auctions coming up? Well,
then we'll teach
that's
you other
okay.
things about
We're going to talk about strategy.
Yes.
Or maybe you're selling, or maybe you encountered an issue, or maybe you have a question, or you want to know what to do with the properties you bought. Those are things that we're going to tackle within our weekly meetings.
And how the market is going.
Yes.
Right? Because it is important. It doesn't matter, you know, in every crisis, there is a lot of opportunities as well. So you need to see them from both sides. That's what makes a successful investor. It's really, you know, okay, this is happening right here, but this is what's going to happen with the auctions here. So this is how I will move. The strategy is crucial. And the fact that you're not alone is a big thing, because fear stops us all the time. And we don't want that. So now I'm going to go to the mind method, but where do they go if they're interested in joining?
Well, Shahar, really quickly, before I even answer that, check it out. Nabil is asking, can I start with one option and move to the more expensive one later?
Yeah.
Yes.
I used to have one of my best friends was called Nabil. He was from Lebanon. Yes, of course. That's the thing that at the beginning we said you need to see your personality, because, you know, when we are talking about anything that makes people money, it looks like, you know, everybody's going to become a millionaire on the next day, but it requires more courage to do some things than others. So you need to know your personality, your risk aversion, right? And of course, the money that you have. Now, how much money do you need to get started? You are going to see that you find properties, land, for $300, $500. Sometimes they're pretty good. I have bought really dozens and dozens and dozens of those. But of course, the market is changing. So if you have $1,000 to get started, then you're going to find better things. And you can buy one. I never suggest you buy just one, because it's that thing. You never know what's going to sell fast. So if you buy one and then you wait for it to sell, for you to buy the second one, well, that one might take longer. So I would suggest think about 2 or 3 that you can, because then you are going to get a better experience on how to exit them. So what's the strat, or monetize, right? Monetize is one option. A lot of people with tax deed, we like to buy and sell, because then we see that return that you can see can be huge very fast. And if you don't have a huge amount, for sure, I would start with land. For sure, I would start with land. I would not even look at the houses, because again, the house, you might even be able to get it in the auction because you saw their houses for $3,000. But if you don't have the money to flip, if it's necessary, not all the time. Many times we can buy a house and sell as is. It's a possibility. But what if that possibility doesn't happen? You need to have the cash to at least paint and do something inside, you see? So if I have a small amount of cash, I would start with land for sure. Then, as I sell the properties, I would get 1/3 of my profit and start putting in tax liens. Why I wouldn't start with tax liens? So cool, I just give the money and wait for the check. Yes, it is. But the money will be there for a period of time. So if it's extra money and you know you're not going to need it in the next year or so, that's fine. Even start with tax lien. With tax lien, we can also start with very low amounts. But again, you have to think, do I want my money being held there for a period of time? You see, I hope I answered your question. If I didn't, ask again. What do you want to know?
By the way, Nabil said, thank you. I will be your friend too.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Awesome.
I need friends.
Awesome. All right, Shahar, you asked me earlier, like, how do I get started? How do I access the community? Well, very simple. On the page where you're watching, there's a button that says join the community. You can scroll down just a little bit. You'll see it. taxsalerebels.com/community.
That's easy.
Yeah, that is easy. And that'll take you to our page, the website, where you can join right away. And there you can select which option works for you.
And what's included.
And what's included. Yes. So I highly encourage you to do that, because I'd love to have you as part of our community.
Yes,
like, are you
of
kidding
course.
me?
And again, as we go, because everything's a process, we have one thing that is unique. If you compare
We
us to
have
other
multiple
people.
things that are unique.
First of all, we are awesome. But as you grow, because you need to start thinking, I'm going to buy one because maybe I only have money to buy one. But as you grow, you also need to grow how you manage this, right? For example, if you have several properties, we didn't talk much about sale by owner, but it's one of the best ways for you to sell your property. Let me tell you, you already heard that there is kind of a crash in the real estate market, right? A lot of people are not being able to pay their mortgage, and people that want to buy the houses, they don't approve in the bank. That's quite a common problem that is causing a crisis. Well, you can be the bank when you have a property. So most of my properties, for example, people come to me and they pay a certain amount every single month. Okay, can be $300, can be $500, all depends on the final price. Of course, we charge interest into that. So they pay every single month, and when they are paid, they get the property. What happens if they don't pay? They receive a letter and we seize the property. That may happen. Doesn't happen very often. But it can happen.
Sometimes
Doesn't
life
matter.
happens.
You have an example of one land we got in Mississippi that we thought we needed to go there and light some
Do
candles,
a little sagebrush.
because
Sage
something weird was happening.
Yeah,
What was
this
it?
one lot that we got, it happened that 3 people defaulted on it. So normally you'd be like, man, like, darn. But here's the thing. This is what I love. One of the other things I love about this business and this model specifically. I love selling for sale by owner for multiple reasons. One of them is, hey, you make it available to people who normally wouldn't be able to qualify for a loan. Oftentimes you're selling to neighbors who want to expand their properties, and it's just an enjoyable sale. But anyways, this one lot, we sold it. We bought it for, I don't remember how much, but it was a low amount. We sold it. The person paid the down payment. That down payment covered my investment in the property. So from that moment on, every monthly payment thereafter is profit. This person paid several months. Everything was fine. Something happened. They stopped paying. Now, they signed a contract, and it it said very clearly that if you stop paying and you're not willing to work payments or something, then you lose the property. And so it happened. They lost the property. We then sold it again to someone. The same thing happened. They paid a down payment. They paid their monthly payments. But remember, I already recouped my initial investment. This is all gravy.
Yeah.
It happened 3 times.
It happened 3
Finally, we actually sold it officially. But like,
yeah,
what's wrong if they stop paying? The property is still yours.
yeah. But in a market like this is the perfect time to do the sale by owner, because people are not being approved for anything in the bank, and you have the property, and land is a limited asset. We only have what we have, and people need places to live. If you buy lots, for example, where you can put a mobile home, they sell like crazy all the time. And we get phone calls of people saying, I am here in this state, but wherever you have a place that I can put my mobile home, I'll go. Right? So it's super sought after, because people are looking for alternative ways of living, since it's almost impossible today for them to buy a house. So if you have the lot, you have the gold. That's simple. But as you have more and more lots, you need to organize, know the payments, when it's coming, what else did you pay? Maybe you had to cut the grass, or you pay the property tax or whatever. All that needs, we have a software for that. We have a software that actually organizes all that for you. Once you buy, you're not going to see them now
Right
if you
now,
don't have anything.
Don't worry about it.
But we have it. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right.
All right. So you mentioned you were going to show us the mine method.
Exactly. Don't forget to go to taxsalerebels.com.
Yes,
/community.
taxsalerebels.com. Don't forget /community. Pick the option that works for you.
So we are going to give an overview because, of course, in the tax deed class we go in depth into that. But there's just 7 steps. First of all, you find your market. So which are the markets that you want to operate? And we are going to see what you're going to go after, the house or the land or whatever it is. But you have to map what you're going to do and what's your exit strategy. Am I going to monetize? Am I going to sell? Am I going to hold? Once you find the property, so like she showed you in 2 states, right? You are going to do your research. You have to know the rules. That's the second letter of the mind method. You have to know the rules. This is the most important part because each auction is different and they have different rules. So you need to be aware of what they are and how to do it. The date to register, if it's online or presential, if you have to give a deposit or not, all these things, right? Because you have all kinds of auctions out there. You have auctions that you actually have to take the cash to pay. In others, you have to deposit what you're going to spend or what you think you're going to spend. And in others, you just show up and give a debit card or a class. So we have to go into that. Then you have to have a process to verify the property. It's not just looking at Google Maps and looking, oh, it looks good. That doesn't help, right? Because you need to know how good or how bad it is, including where it is. Even though it doesn't matter if it's a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood, you have buyers on both ends, but you need to know what you're going to be dealing with if necessary. And you need to know if there is a ditch in the property, that could be an issue. So all these things, you have to verify and do your due diligence. And then you are going to uncover the risk. So what is my risk here if I make the purchase? Now, this is where some people get stuck because fear overcomes them, even if it's a $50 property. So you have to say, okay, let's uncover the risk here. What could happen? With the liens, your only question is, if I end up with a property, is it a good property for me to sell or to use or not, right? So the due diligence is a crucial part here. Running the numbers. And Nashlah and I were really bad, right, at math, but you have calculators and you have AI to help you. And you can do an assessment and see, okay, this is how much I'm going to spend. And one very crucial point here is, what's the maximum bid I'm going to do at the auction? You have to have that number way before you go to the auction. Because like I said, emotions run high, very easy to make mistakes. So if you decide on a number, you don't go over that number. But you need to do the math in order to know, okay, this is as far as I'm going to go, right? And everything going wrong, I still make money here. And set your limit. So what is oh, I just lost everything. And then execute the opportunity. So you bid with discipline, and then you stick to your original plan. This is one I'm going to sell. How do you sell? All that we cover. So we go in depth. I don't want to keep reading stuff here for you, but it's very, very important to understand it is a process. If you like to be home and not have to deal with that, tax lien is the route to go, right? But if you don't mind doing the extra thing, you're going to pay somebody to put a sign on the property saying sale by owner, answering the phone and talking to the people, then the deeds is really the best approach. For me, I think the best is really a mix of those two.
I love that. I love that. It took us a minute to figure out this balance between what to do and what not to do there. But it's really, truly, because they both have tremendous value. So the liens, less risk. You know, you're going to there's still a little risk. But I mean, man, either you get the percentage or you get the property. Like, it's incredible, right? And then the tax deeds, well, you get the property, so you're making more money up front. Yeah. But then if you just do one, that one has a little bit more risk. If you just do that, then you're missing the opportunity here because of that wonderful little thing called compound interest.
Yeah.
And so So
You're
you do
making the
this,
money,
a
yeah.
percentage of that, 1/3, like Shahar said, goes into tax liens. So really, you're doing both.
And you're creating a system that it will last for you, right?
Yes.
So especially with the liens, that money, if you buy in one state, that it takes you 3 years to get the money back if they don't redeem, okay? Or if they redeem at the end. Then you get another one that is 6 months, and then you get another one that is a year. You have that gaining money. You just need to keep that flow going. Now, today is a lot easier than 10 years ago. First of all, a lot of counties do their auction online, so you don't have to go. And that is huge because before everything was presidential. Documentation, most of it is online, so you can access. Before you couldn't. To a point, you can use AI. We're going to teach you, but you cannot trust everything, but it helps you in the process. A very easy thing that I do is I pull what's the width of the lot that I'm going to buy to see if I can build or not in that town, because it varies. That is an easy one to get with AI, and then you can confirm with the county. So things are a lot easier and faster than before for people that decide to do this. It's a simple decision. You know, I would go tonight to bed and say, I'm going to do this, right? Then you decide, am I going to go with liens or with deeds? And of course, being in the community, then we get things moving on. That's it, right?
That is it.
Wow, it's that simple.
It's
Okay.
super simple. It's super exciting too.
Yeah,
It's amazing. You know what?
I wouldn't be doing this for 10 years if it was not exciting. For
exactly.
Real. When you go to an auction, I like presential, by the way.
Yep.
Right? It's amazing. It's amazing. And it builds
There's
yourself.
an energy.
It's an energy thing. It builds your self-esteem. Even when, and it happened to us many times, that you get out of the auction without anything because you didn't have the money. But you also see how other people deal with the money. You see groups of investors going and trying to get a lot of properties at the same time. And sometimes you win and you end up with the property. But it's a very unique and exciting experience, right?
Yes, 100% it is.
Awesome.
You know what, guys? It's going to be an absolute pleasure
Yeah.
to have you join us in our community. Be there with us. Let's learn together. Let's grow together.
Yeah.
We're doing this amazing, incredible launch price right now. It's really amazing. Just go to taxsalerebels.com/community and join today.
Yeah, you're going to get the best because there isn't a lot of people. So we can get together and answer your questions and go from there in a very nice way and move ahead in this game. Yeah, that's it. Okay, you go there, take care of your membership, and I'll see you next time. And once you take care of this, you will get an email telling you how to access, and you can start on the tax lien course. You can start on that one. It's a crash course. It's not too long, and you can get more comfortable. So when we meet for the first meeting, you have your questions there as well.
Absolutely.
Cool.
And don't forget, of course, once you join, introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you there, okay?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Take care. See you on the inside.
Yep.